Welcome back to Horse First. If you've been riding along this season, you'll know by now that this is not a show or a podcast about shortcuts or shiny answers. It's about mud on your boots, honesty. It's about hay in your pocket, reality. It's about looking a little closer at what's happening with the horse in front of us, even when the horse world would rather just keep things moving forward. Mid-season is where the deeper work starts to show, the easier stories fall away, and what's left is the real stuff. The habits we inherited, the pressures we didn't notice, the moments where slowing down is the most skilled thing we can do. So, if you've found yourself pausing more, listening harder, and questioning what used to feel normal, you're on the right track. I'm Lockie Phillips. This is Horse First. Let's keep going. Okay, guys, listen up because for the third time, my friend Alexa Linton is back on the pod and she is on fire. Alexa Linton is a Canadian equine practitioner, educator, body worker, and the host of the Whole Horse podcast, the first equestrian podcast I personally ever listened to. Alexa is someone who's been watching very closely where horsemanship is actually going, not just where we like to think that it's going. And this conversation Alexa and I have is a bit like a line in the sand. If you are an exhausted equestrian, if you are out there losing hope, if you feel confused, befuddled, and foggy, this conversation is for you. Because as a leader, Alexa is clear. She is back and she is on fire. Together, Alexa and I discuss what the next phase for the horse world is going to be, in our opinions. And Alexa makes a big call for depth. That a lot of what we've been calling depth in the horse world right now has just been aesthetic, clean, nice, well-presented discussions on depth, but not really the deep work that we believe horses are calling us into. And what we discuss about today and what we think is emerging is actually the starting of stuff falling apart, particularly aesthetic approaches to horses, how things look, how they're packaged, how they're perceived, and the way that these things are just not enough anymore. This conversation's about going deeper for real now, not talking about it, not gesturing towards it, actually doing it. This conversation is going to be applicable for horse people, but this conversation stretches way outside of the horse world and into much broader territory. Alexa, welcome back. It's so great to have you. I'm joined by Alexa Linton once again. Hello, Alexa. How are you?
I'm happy to be back here. It's great to see you as always.
Thank you for coming. So for those of us who are listening who don't know who you are, if they've been living under a rock for the last 20 years, who are you? So let us know who you are.
Who am I today? Let's see. So I am like Lockie, horse obsessed, mom of 4 lovely furry herd mates, and now I can't really say property owner, but you know what I'm saying, like
right.
Property owner with big mortgage, and like digging into what it means to be a land steward and just absolutely loving that journey. But previous to that, I am trained as a osteopathic manual practitioner, and I've been working in that with humans and riders for a chunk of years now. And then before that, an equine sport therapist for 22 years, and still get to dabble in that because I end up missing it so much and I just love it. And and many other hats, but those are my big ones career wise at the moment. And of course, host of the Whole Horse podcast, which is going on to its 150th episode is the one that I'm working on right now. So
congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank
I've
you.
been very blessed and lucky to have appeared on that podcast a handful of times, and I've always had a good time. You were doing the work before people knew what the work was.
Yeah, I was in the online space before that was really a thing. Yeah, yeah. Looking back, I mean, my podcast has been around about 9 years. I've been doing online programming for probably a dozen years, and it's really been in the last 4 or 5 that it's just things have really
Mushroomed.
wow. I mean, it's amazing. There's so many podcasts, there's so many online courses, especially since COVID. It's like, this was the format, right? This was the thing. And so it sort of forced a lot of people to kind of look, okay, I want to shift gears. I want to, maybe diversify, open something up. And it's really changed a lot. So it's been a really interesting thing to watch.
You were there at the beginning, right? You were there at the beginning doing the work before we knew what the work was, pushing into the online space, pushing into the digital podcast space. You're one of the first equestrian-focused podcasters to start putting consistent content out there on a weekly basis, certainly within, let's say, the horse first space. Let's use a few words you may or may not be comfortable with. Let's say trailblazer, let's say maverick, let's say ahead of your time. How do you feel about those titles?
It's interesting, actually. I was having a reflection the other day, and I know you commented on my post. I was reflecting on my grandfather. And my grandfather was this really interesting guy. He loved to ski. It was his horses, like me, with horses. And he ended up founding pretty much the only ski hill here on Vancouver Island, Mount Washington. Just because one day he was skiing on this other hill and looked over and said to his friend, there looks like a really nice bowl over there. Like, we should go check it out. His friend just happened to fly helicopters. Up they went and decided, this is a thing. And it was super, super interesting to hear all the pieces that came together around that and how he made that happen. Not just him, but this vision that came to light, which was huge. Like, I'm talking, I think there's 4 or 5 lifts on the ski hill, maybe more now, definitely more now, and a massive village, a massive lodge, both Nordic and Alpine. Like, all of these things were this vision, right, of what could be. And it really brought me home to this runs in my lineage. This is like this way of thinking, this way of looking at the world and going, hey, this needs to change, or this, I really would love to see a shift here. Or like my grandpa, like, I want some better runs down this mountain, And so we got to grow up on this mountain with a cabin there, skiing a run called Linton's Loop, doing the thing, right? And it was a really amazing legacy to be with. And now I'm sort of seeing in this world of horses, it's such an interesting thing because, my grandpa eventually retires and, kind of found his way in other spaces, sold the resort off. And so there was this transition period that happened. And I believe for myself, there's I'm in an interesting junction right now is what I'm seeing. It's okay, I've worked a very specific way for a really long time, and now it's changing. And I think a lot of horse people are kind of experiencing this, okay, what does this look like now? Even you and I have chatted about that. How do we do this now with a really changing world and sort of an audience that's wanting different things? And so it's just a really interesting moment, I think, to be having a conversation together. Yeah.
Last time we did a podcast on my pod together, we were talking about liminal spaces, and you were just before finding out if this farm would land for you or not, and it has. So congratulations for that.
Yeah.
But again, we're in this other liminal space. We might be land holders now, which is a privilege. We might be solid in our careers. You've been in it a lot longer than I have. If if I stand on people's shoulders, you might be some shoulders that I stand on, right? Because you helped lay foundations for other people to come. You gave a blueprint for people to step into. And I can only be grateful for that. But when I speak with you, Alexa, I know I'm speaking to someone who, like your grandfather, is literally a trailblazer. You're like, you know what? This mountain feels a little hokey. What about that clear space over there? That looks a little nice. That looks like, that looks a little open. It looks a little untouched. It looks a little safer. It looks a little sunnier. It looks a little better. And you've kind of been leading in the horse space this way. So I know when I speak with you that I'm speaking to this sort of person. So when I ask you this question, I know exactly who I'm asking. The question of, when you look into the future or ponder the future of horsekeeping, of horse training, what feels most out of alignment in the traditional models we're still using today? After all this time in this space, Alexa, you must have some really interesting perspective to offer about what you think is going to come down the pipeline or down the slope. I would like to invite you to come and learn with me inside the EH School. This is a low-cost, high-value, flexible membership for horse people who want more than just quick fixes and louder answers. Inside, you will find a growing video library, a thoughtful off-social media discussion space, and live coaching calls with myself and often with my team, all designed to help you get to the heart of what's really happening in your horsemanship. This is not about following a method. It's about building clarity, skill, and confidence with the horses always placed as the first priority. If you're looking for a steady place to learn, reflect, and progress your practical skills without force of horses or overwhelm of yourself, I hope you will come and feel at home with us in the EH School. You can find the sign up by the link in the show notes, or you can visit emotionalhorsemanship.com and navigate to the EH School sign up.
Yeah, down the slope, right? And I hope I have something interesting to offer. Here's what I've been sort of in the pondering of, because I'm in a really interesting liminal space as well, because I'm perimenopausal, which I think many women out there can relate to being perimenopausal, menopausal. It really changes one's outlook because, number one, you don't really, like, shall I swear, give two shits anymore about a lot of things.
We swear here, it's not a problem.
A lot of stuff that was like, number one, I would say that my brand for a while was like a lifestyle brand, the nice photos and then like everybody's groomed and da 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 da, like, it's looking pretty. And that was an attractant. And now, like, I don't care. If anybody saw my video, I really do not. I did a video with Elise the other day doing a track tour, and I'm looking at this video, and I'm like, damn. I literally, Lockie, have my hat's on all skewed. It's covered in hay. I have not brushed my hair, obviously. These pants that I'm wearing are my new favorite rubber. They're totally waterproof. They are also covered in dirt. I'm wearing shoes that I got at the thrift store for $6.50 that are the ugliest shoes you've ever seen. And I really, in the past, I might have been kind of mortified, like, oh my God, this is now public. I could give two shits. It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, what I'm seeing is like, I want to just be me. I just want to be me. No masks, no other stuff. This is who I am. And I don't have the time and energy for it anymore. And when we're always going after shiny things, when we're going after those shiny things, we're not actually getting often, I'm not saying always, often the good stuff. When we're looking for the pretty and the shiny and the polished and the new, because that's often, as human beings, we have this, like, we're a little bit of a magpie. We want that new thing that's come out, and that new technique that's come out, and that new training, and that,
Mm.
right? And honestly, we don't always look for depth. We miss it. We miss the depth. We go shallow. And because it's hard to go deep, it's really challenging on a lot of levels to deepen. We have to still, we have to quiet, we have to stop, we have to pause, we have to like be with the uncomfortableness of like, oh, this is who I am now. There's all, this is who my horse is, this is where our relationship is at. To go deep is really, I think, the true win in this time. And I'm even seeing it like with my, with my work and things. It's like there's been a real reassessment. So it's like, am I relevant? Like, these are the questions. Am I relevant anymore? Like, do people care? I've never been showy in my work. It's just not how I roll. I'm also ADHD, so I do so many different things and I wear so many different hats. And so it can be sometimes really hard. I'm not necessarily being like, I do this and this is what I do, and everybody should come to me for this thing. I'm like, I'm doing this today because it feels cool and I like this and this is this. And so deepening allows us to be like with you, Lockie. Like, I'm like, damn, I love Lockie. Like, I want to be in a deeper relationship with Lockie. I want to
Mm.
really look at how I can make that happen, or not make that happen, but like really build that. It's like building a garden. It's like, I want to give it good nutrients and I want to water it and I want to, watch this, like this plant that is our friendship do something cool, right? And so I think if we're always looking for that next thing that's going to fix it, or that next thing that's going to be the, the thing that changes it all, or the fix that does it all, we're missing something so critical in our horse journey, in our life journey, around deepening is what I'm really feeling lately. Like, I had this epiphany. I've been doing sound journeys lately because, like, why not?
Why not?
Why not? And I'm a really intuitive person, so I go to this sound journey, and I'm usually like a little skeptical, but like I got there, and I was joking around with my intention. I was like, my intention is to like actually leave my house sometimes, because, like, as you know, when you own a farm, like, you just don't really leave a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and so I start this journey, and I'm very visual. So I get in there, she starts playing the things and doing the music and the sound, and I just feel myself lying on the land here on Raven Moon Farm, and I'm literally just embraced into the land. I can feel myself just sinking into the land in such a hug, in such an embrace of me and my full everything. And it just felt like this sense of like, I'm actually meant to be here. I'm meant to be quiet. I'm meant to be still and like just drink in this connection to this place that is my dream. And I get to support in so many ways, and it gets to support me. And so in this journey, I like became mycelia, and I like went all out into the all of the many corners of this 5 acres. And I actually, like, interestingly enough, went to the next property as well, which has been the place where the fire was. And I did this healing on the land as I'm in this journey. And then I got the sense of the connection of the horses to the land, which, right up through the hooves, this sense of just deep, deep connection to place and space that horses hold. And this sense of this interconnected thing that we are doing as horse people, often not even realizing that this is the relationship that we are in right now. It is so deep and so nuanced. And we'll often, not be aware of it at all because we're just in this other zone that is very surface, and we're not maybe allowing ourselves to be in touch with the connectedness, the felt sense. I mean, emotional horsemanship, this is a part of it, right? We look at a part of colonialism is like literally separating ourselves from our felt sense and our connection to land, our connection to place, to ancestry, to those that came before. This is a part of the severing, right? And so I think, for me anyways, the juiciness in my work and the hope that I hold for the future, and the place that so many horse people I think are missing, maybe the because I see so many people just seeking. What are they seeking? And I think this is often the thing, a sense of belonging, a sense of, like I'm embraced by this place and this land and this community and my herd and the people around me, like that there's a sense that I am meant to be here, that I am an important and helpful part of this fabric and tapestry that I exist in. And that to me is like, how good does that get? I mean, I know that you live on land now, and I know your sort of connection to that space and place. It's an interesting thing. I mean, I'm very far from my lands of ancestry, very far. Irish, English, Scottish is where my ancestors are from. Yeah, and I'm very fortunate to be able to land here on amazing land, but this is unceded territory here of First Nations people. That's the reality of this place. That's something that I've had to just really be with, because it's the depth of the connection. If we're going into the depths, we need to recognize the land we stand on. We need to recognize the history in our horses, the history in ourselves, and be curious about what that means moving forward. And that lights me up every day. And I hope that we can find more bridges to that place when it comes to horses. I remember talking to Shannon a little while back, and she said to me, she was on the pod and she went through this really big, so Shannon Bay, and huge journey with Ivan. You may have even talked about it. And
yeah,
because we were talking about our recovery journeys with Ray Kier and Ivan. And she said she got to this place, and I thought it was so beautiful. She said, I was so frustrated, and I could completely relate. I was like, wow, yeah. She goes, but then I got to this place where I realized what an honor it was. What an honor it was to caretake and to serve these horses. And that place, like, what does that look like to get there? To go, yeah, this horse needs so much from me. Maybe a horse that is needing so much that you can't ride, that you can't do things with, that you want to do. And yet, there's such a gift there if we allow depth.
The EH School is a quiet place in a loud industry. It is a low-cost, high-value membership that I've created where horse people can come and slow down, think clearly, and build real skill with horses at the center. We have an expansive, already very deep video library, an off-social media discussion space, and live calls with myself, where you'll get direct support that feels, I hope, steady, practical, refreshingly human, and often really fun. This is not a system that we are creating for you to obey, but a craft that we want to help you practice it. Come and join the Emotional Horsemanship School, the EH School, and you can find the link in the show notes of this episode.
Yeah.
This call for depth sounds like you're not just suggesting this. You're not advising this. You're not hinting at this. You're like on the rooftop saying, go deep. Everyone who can hear me, can you hear me? Go deeper.
Yeah.
Now.
Go deeper.
Go deeper now, because the shallowness that you alluded to is super prevalent in horse training, in horse keeping. Looks good on the outside, rotten to the core.
Absolutely.
Chasing cheap dopamine, no real... what's the opposite of cheap dopamine? I think it would be sustainability. So that would mean maybe something isn't going to happen right now, but it's guaranteed to occur tomorrow. It's guaranteed to be there for you next week. It's not going to be there now. Building something, you're creating an outcome in the absence of the visual outcome now. You can't see it now, but you're building something that's going to appear for you like mushrooms out of a poo pile. It's going to appear for you. You are the second person I've spoken to about mycelial networks today in depth, by the way. And also to...
Was the first one? No.
No, to nod to the self-searching question you had for yourself, which is, am I relevant? What am I doing now? I think you just laid down the gauntlet in the last 10 minutes. You just, for me, Alexa, if I can say, what you just did in my presence, which I was honored to see, was lay down the gauntlet to say, I might not be relevant according to who I was, but no one's relevant according to who they were. No one. None of us. Yeah. And what we're not supposed to do is sit on our backside, cool our heels, rest on our laurels and go forward. That's a slow death. You're saying, I'm still relevant and I'm blooming into something else entirely. Go deeper, people. It's deep work now. We're not talking about the depth. We're not hinting at the depth. We're not speaking about depth on a Special Tuesday episode where it's like, oh, there's this whole thing about going a little deeper with the horses. It's a whole little thing about going deeper in community. Maybe we could go deeper in our understanding of our training. You're saying this isn't a suggestion anymore. This isn't an option anymore. It's kind of like has to happen, and it has to happen now, and it has to happen at an individual level. It has to happen on a small scale community level, at a local level, and it also needs to be... my friend Laurie tagged me in something yesterday. It's like the distant tree theory. We might not be all growing together, but we are all connected. We're all part of the same network. Yeah. And that's what I'm kind of feeling into. That's huge.
It's a huge one. It's a huge one to feel that sense of a community where you can just, get in there and be weird and be like all the things. Like I don't even like the term woo woo. That's like not it, but I'm a very spiritual human. It's like how I roll in my life, and there's this sense in community, like the community that I'm wanting to build. It's like, let's go there. Like, let's look at, soul paths and like what we're doing here with these horses, like it's a wild thing. If we just sit with like how wild it is that these horses find us, choose us, want to be there doing the thing with us, that's just mind-blowing to me. And like, I just can't help but want to know a whole lot more about what that means and why. Like when Diva first came to me, I was 23 and dumb. Oh my God. The 23-year-old that I was a mess. And I love her, but man, Diva came in and I swear to God, she was like, well, we need to save this girl's life. And did so many times over the years in various ways. And also just really reined my ship in towards the place that I was meant to be going. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about the fact that we were meant to do this life together for the past 22 years, almost 23 years, right? it's just baffling to me to kind of look at the things that have to occur for a horse to come into a world and cross the path of a human just when that needs to occur for that person and that horse. And there's miracles just like bing, like happening all over the place in this way. To not go to the effort of going a little bit deeper on why and what that means and what that partnership is about, to me is like there's a wasted opportunity right there. There's so much happening in that space. You know, my friend Brittany talks about soul contracts, and I see this with horses all the time. And I just can't help but let that curiosity take me into understanding what this amazing intersection between humans and horses is all about. Like, how wild is this that, you know, especially now that horses are not, I mean, we can say around most of the world, horses are not a working animal anymore, right? They are
not in the
luxury.
first world. Not in the first world.
Right?
Yeah. Very small communities in ranching traditions in New Zealand,
absolutely.
Australia, Spain,
Canada.
to a degree, Canada, United States.
US.
Small, small, isolated traditional communities still, but very, very thin on the ground.
Right. So there's this, most of us are in this going, I have this thing inside me that says I need to have horses in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. Every podcast guest I have on, Lockie, everyone, I swear to God, I ask them, what is your story? They go, well, I've been obsessed with horses since I was a child. And I was like, yep, check. Yep. Like literally 150 guests or whatever. And it's like every single one of them, same story. Why? Why? Right? That's a curiosity. And it's also, there's answers there. You know, my friend Carmen, she had horses all the way through her ancestry. They called to her. It was like, this is so needed in my, to be with them. It was just such a deep call. And we all feel that, I think, on some level, right? We wouldn't have, I mean, horses are a big deal to have in your life. I don't think you would have them there if there wasn't at least some of that, like, magical feeling of like, I need to have horses in my world. Right? Yeah.
Right. I've got a photograph of a distant ancestor of mine. I think my mother's grandfather on my wall because I have his eyes. He has my eyes. And he owned racehorses, and he used to make liniment for the legs of racehorses out of camphor laurel trees in Queensland, Australia, and sell the liniment, and he used to take care of the horses. And his photo, which my mum found, if you look closely, he's got a little horseshoe pin on his lapel. And I've got him up on the wall of my house because I'm like, this is the nearest closest ancestor that had horses in an everyday level. And I tell my clients all the time, we're all horse people. We just might be a generation or two removed from the practicalities of it. And it's all about coming back to that makes sense. These questions that you ask about, you know, the wonder and the awe and the magic of why were we all so obsessed and drawn to this, sometimes without prompting, without reason, without any without resources, and often against our parents' wishes, and with great logistical challenges, we continue to be drawn to horses. And now we're sitting here with a cup of tea on like a Wednesday morning when the wind's blowing sideways, going, yep, the mud's deep today, but it all feels correct. It's like, where does this come from? And if our training, if our handling, if our care forgets to keep that in mind, I believe in the future, as much as it has been necessary until now to gently suggest, maybe we can be aware of this other thing. No, I don't think it's about gentle suggestion anymore. It's about this is what has to be in the forefront of our mind when we handle, care, keep, train. If we get too far off that path, if we get lost, when you look at horsekeeping that has clearly forgotten
Yep.
This, what we just talked about, it's so clear. When we look at training that is forgotten, it's so clear. And I think that's what we need to do now as a community, as leaders, at whatever level we can do it, is continue to bring it back to this point and then go deeper. It's like we all kind of went on this journey with horses and horsemanship for 10, 20 years. We're all kind of cute. It's a little aesthetic still. We're kind of still, we're washing our hair. Our horses are shiny. The pictures are good. We're still aesthetic. And then we get to a point where it's like, and now the next layer goes, and the gatekeepers say, you're not going to have capacity to take aesthetics with you to this next place. There will not be the energy. There will not be capacity, because what comes next is going to demand everything of you. I just got off one of my horses before I got on the call with you, and I barely brushed him before I got on. Like I got a ratty old curry comb and just went, let me just make sure there's no sand underneath my bare back pad. That'll do. On we go. Right?
Yep.
And I also get people saying they're ashamed to bring their horses to my clinics because my horses always look clean in the photos. But that's because I've got someone helping me do that, you know? And I don't know how Sereno stays so white. He just stays white. But
I've always been wondering that as well. He's like,
I don't know how he does it, because I don't know. I think it's something to do with the quality of his fur, because even when he rolls, within 20 minutes, he's clean again. He's just like self-clean. I don't know how he does it. He's just got like really good like fur that repels. I don't know how. Magic needs to be studied.
Magical unicorn.
Magical unicorn. But I think it's so important, because you've been calling out domination models for 20 years.
For a good long while. Yeah. Well, and you know, I think you get it. I mean, I've been down these roads. Like, I know I was a Pirelli girl. I was doing the stuff when the stuff was doing, you know, and I was jumping from training method to training method. Like, I get this path, right? And I also now hope that I can kind of stand and look down that path that I came on and go, okay, these are the things that I've pulled through here. This is the wisdom that I now get. Looking back at that and going, well, that didn't work. Oh, that wasn't great. Like,
but you're not canceling it. You're not erasing your own history. And I think that's where people go wrong. They look at their history and they seek to erase it or cancel it. Or they look at something they just learned last month, and when they get to the first uncomfortable step, they go, let me erase all the steps I've taken. I think it's really important that we can integrate what we have learned and what we can integrate now, put it back in. You've been challenging domination-based models across the board, from horsekeeping to trimming to energy work to herbal supplements to training. You've been highlighting that for a very long time. Is it important, in your opinion, and this is a loaded question, but is it still important that we find ways to continue to put pressure on domination-based models and systems in the horse world? How important is it to continue to put pressure on those systems, because they're feeling the pressure and they're pushing back? How important is it to keep the pressure on them?
It's an interesting question for me, because I mean, one of the things that I've noticed for myself is like, I'm not necessarily like a, right at the forefront, of like, let's call this out, but I'm there, and
you have a manner and a style of delivery which works for certain ears, and we need many different types of deliveries.
We need many different types, right? And I'm a pattern watcher, so for me, I sit back, I sort of am watching, like, okay, I'm looking at the world right now and I'm seeing the patterns. I'm like, oh, this is very concerning. Yeah, I see that. Yep, see how that happened. The thing about dominance is that, as we know, it can get shit done, right? And when we're talking about shallow training, this is the type of training that people tend to go to, because it gets things done quickly. But as you've talked about a million times, at what cost?
The optics are good. Or the optics are good at some sort of cost.
Absolutely. The optics are good. But I'm not just talking about cost to the horse. Like, I'm not just talking about that, because of course there's cost to the horse, right? There's trauma. There's
Distrust.
just a distress and stress and just a disintegration of like their, like I saw this in Diva. You know, Diva is powerful. She is such a force. But those domination tactics with her took away eroded her confidence. I see that now. She's 27. She's the least confident horse in my herd. Even though she did the most training with me, she was the one that was subjected to the dominance-based training methods. And so I see it every day. It's like, okay, this is the chickens coming home to roost here for me. And I need to see it because this is what I did this. That was my choice.
Brave and important to say that.
To see, right? Because I see Gwenna, who I'm training almost entirely with clicker training and other methods and no pressure. You know, the most pressure is like a pool noodle, like, you know, like, let's do some things. Like, she is a different ball of wax. She's confident. She knows what she needs. She's able to connect with me and communicate with me very, very clearly. And it's just a very, very different thing. And so we can't erase our past. Like, we see this happening all over the world where it's like, I don't want to see that. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to see what happened in the past. And that's not now. And it's like, yes, it is. It's actually happening all the time around you. Maybe it's more hidden. Hope, like, maybe not. But it's absolutely happening. And even the many trainers that you're seeing, like, oh, isn't that a pretty result? Behind the scenes, things are not like that. And this is where I get into that space around depth, is because to step away from dominance tactics is not like I'm just going to make a choice one day to step away from dominance tactics. I was trained from the time I was 11 years old, and probably earlier, because I was, you know, raised in a certain...
The cultural
bubble,
framework was there, right? Before you picked up the first carrot stick.
Yeah. I was in the soup, right? Of like hierarchy, domination, competitiveness. Like, I was there. So when my instructor said, you know, smack them to go and this and that, like, I was like, okay.
You went, oh, makes sense. That's congruent.
Absolutely. Like, there was not a part of me that said, that doesn't sound great. Are we sure that we should do that? I'm sure there was a little part of me, but a lot of me was like, okay, like, they're saying it. This is an authority. Here we go. And so it's really recognizing when we're looking at dominance. I mean, here I am 22 years in. It's taken me that long to unravel this stuff. Long time. Maybe I'm a slow learner, but it's a long time. And
But that's the deepening. That's the deepening, because at each level you go, you meet yourself again, and then you've got it's the onion. At each level you go, you meet the problem again at that level, and then you go to the next level and you meet the problem again at that level, because it wherever you go, there you are. And as you go through a learning journey, every time you learn something new, your brain will present to you past knowings and say, okay, what about this now? And what about this now?
Here's a new way to look at this, right? And oftentimes we think in those moments, oh my God, I haven't gotten anywhere. Like, why am I back at this same thing? Let's think of the spiral. We're thinking of that Fibonacci spiral, right? You're coming around, but you're at a different place. You're seeing that same thing, but you're seeing it through a new lens. So give yourself credit. Here I am back here at this place. But now I get to unpack it this way. I get to open it up like that. I get to look in deeper here. And then we get to keep on the path. And the path is not just about horses, everybody. Surprise. When we unwind and unravel this conditioning and this dominance culture and this colonial mindset, like, oh, you're going to be like, oh, Alexa. But like,
no, it's the patriarchy. Hello,
patriarchy.
This is where we are. Like, you are here, 2026.
Comment on out. Like, you can think of a little nice patriarchy cleanse. Let's do that, because we need to. This has been ingrained over generations. And it is not going to be, a clinic and we're done. Absolutely not. This is where the work starts, in your paddock, feeding your horses every morning. When you come into interface with them in a training setting, how do I want to show up in that space? And when I don't show up well, when it's a mess, when I screw up, how am I going to be with that in that moment? Because it's going to happen. What does that look like? Gotta love the mess. Where's the gentleness? I'm not going to come in with my own dominance, which is like, oh my God, shame on you. Can't believe you did that. What a horrible person you are. Guess what?
What a horrible horse you are.
Yeah, we're feeding back into the same stuff. And so we have to then go, if I want to get out of this, I need to do it differently. I need to bring love. I need to bring care. I need to bring a somatic awareness to the emotion that I'm sitting with in this. I need to follow it through to its completion. Maybe I need some community members around me that can sit with me in this space and help me to feel safe enough to move this through. So, got to ask for help. Again, something that we've been trained out of doing. And so there's all these pieces in the gift of what horses bring us that are beyond what we could ever imagine. What an amazing thing to come into this life and have our soul go, we're going to do horses in this lifetime, and get to interface with the most magical freaking creatures in the whole realm.
Land whales.
Oh my God. And then do this thing together that is very expensive, but very amazing. And I can't get enough of it. I just, it's like the part of me that needs depth is so satisfied and so fulfilled in this
horses,
this place.
Yes.
Right?
It's so invigorating to hear you speak like this. You're on fire today, Alexa. It's, in the best way possible. I mean, you're back, baby. You tangoed with death, you had a collapse, and now you're back. It's so wonderful to hear you like this, because we're tired. Okay? Listeners, if you're listening and you're exhausted, we're all nodding our head. Look to your left, look to your right. 100% of those people are absolutely exhausted quite a lot of the time. It's impossible to be alive in this day and age and not be exhausted by the systems we're in, by the situations we find ourselves in. And I consider you a leader. To hear you as a leader be invigorated, impassioned, full of life, and at least right now energized, and extremely clear about the next step, bodes very, very well, not just for you, but for all of the people who look up to you and stand with you and link arms with you. And I feel exactly the same way, because, listen, there's a very real human cost that comes with a life with horses, a very real human cost. Not to put too fine a point on it, I'm dating right now, right? Not to put, listeners, we're not going too far. Mind your own business. It's not no one's business. But many conversations that start end when a certain card gets put on the table, and the card that gets put on the table is your lifestyle up for negotiation? No, I'm not going to take the way I live off like it's a jacket or a hat. This is how I live, with my dogs, with my horses, with my cats, with my land, with my farm, with my community in service. This is how I live. That is not up for negotiation. And if you want to compete with that, go back to the patriarchy. If you want to negotiate with that, go back to the patriarchy. I don't want to hear from you. Let me find someone else. Men weren't always sword-wielding warriors. We were often crazy monks, or, lyrical bards, or insane jesters, or the little boys or the wise elders or the apothecary. I mean, we used to be so many things, and now
Totally.
men have been reduced to one thing. And I'm a big believer that no system is entirely worth of erasure, and no single way of being or acting or doing is worthy of total cancellation. Like, there's an amazing philosopher, his name's Ken Wilber. It changed my life. A book called The Eye of Spirit. It takes about a year to read, because you read 2 pages, you got to put it down and go stare into the horizon for 2 weeks and figure out what he just said. In a nutshell, he said, no religion's perfect, no school of thought is perfect, but all of them have something perfect inside of them. Why can't we literally cherry pick those perfect things and at least attempt to integrate it back in? And there is a couple of things, not many things, but a couple of things from patriarchy that are worth remembering and integrating in the future. The ability to take a shape and hold it, that's really important. The ability to kind of stand firm and stand your ground, I think that's really important. The ability to speak clearly and openly and maybe even firmly about what's really important to you, right or wrong, speak it, to kind of put your flag in the sand. I think that's really important, but we don't have to form our entire personalities around those very narrow viewpoints on the planet, and the exhaustion, the human cost.
Yeah.
I think we don't talk about that enough, because we have, legions of clients and friends that you and I both know that have beautifully well kept horses. And to their left or their right is a person who's like, great, where's the coffee? Like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired from doing that. What are the solutions, in your opinion, Alexa, to this exhaustion?
It's a real challenge. That is a great question. So,
because we need them. Let's be real. The human cost to doing it better by the horses.
So let's
we
unpack.
need answers to that, because if we don't get answers to it, we're dead in the water. People won't go deep because the human cost is too great.
Totally. So here's the thing. What I understood, because as Lockie said, I've been through some stuff, and Lockie was there, literally picking me up off the ground.
Actually there, yeah.
Actually, and feeding me and helping me to the washroom. It was awkward, but very bonding.
No, it wasn't awkward for me. It was actually it wasn't. I didn't feel awkward about it at all. It was an absolute honor to be able to assist my friend in that moment of crisis, and I thought of no other place where I was supposed to be at that time. It was incredibly informative and instructive for me. It actually changed the course of my life too, because I have dealt with my human cost and my capacities completely different since I was there with you in those moments when you fell on the floor and I'm feeding you the bone broth and I'm wiping, taking your temperature and wiping your forehead and calling Patrick and making sure that you were okay. All of those things, I was sitting there going, this is the universe saying, Lockie, hint, little hint, little hint, little to the left.
Time. Right? Like, course adjust. This can happen, and most people don't realize that kind of collapse state can happen. I didn't realize until that point that can happen. I was like, oh, my tank is infinite. Newsflash, not infinite. And here's the thing, when it's not infinite, it can show up in a multitude of ways, right? It can show up as us leaving this industry, which we literally don't want. We want
losing
leaders
talent
to be staying in this industry, but they cannot if they're continuing on the same path, which is a path that doesn't feel like they can ask for help. They do not rest. They're driven by this type of overachieving that literally makes us crazy. And they have been instructed in a hierarchical model that means that they're constantly striving for something more, and that they constantly have to be showing the next highlight reel and the next thing and the next achievement. And honestly, like, that's just unsustainable. It's
literally
kills people. Like, and once you as women, once you get to a certain place, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but perimenopause is like a slap in the face. And I don't even have it in a crazy way because my uterus is gone. So it's like an interesting journey right now. But for a lot of women, this is the place where the rubber meets the road. And your exhaustion levels, your hormonal wildness, the pain in your body, the things that are the inability to mask your emotions anymore, things really start to get stark at this place of like, okay, how do I do this now? Frankly, if you want to keep being with horses through this phase, hopefully it's not a phase, but even through patriarchy, you need to, number one, be able to say no to things.
Which, by the way, saying no is something maybe the patriarchy's really good at, is going, no.
Are. Like take that skill set, right? Because often the women in the patriarchy are not good at saying no. We've learned to say yes and yes and yes. And all of a sudden, oh my God, how did I get here? Okay. So that is a huge piece. It's like, where is my line in the sand? And stick to it. Stick to it, right? It's
with
that
the horses, with yourself, with others. Yes.
Stick to that. You need to be an advocate, right? I learned this in the hospital the hard way. God damn, do you need to be an advocate in the hospital? But it comes and plays a role everywhere, like in horse keeping, in horse training, in veterinary practice, in all these things. That place of, can I stand up for myself and my horses in a way that works for me? And can I say no when I'm not able to do that? I can step away. I can step away. Like Lockie said, oh my gosh, to be able to just, like, I always encourage my community members, like, oh my God, if you love something in this course, great. If you love something here, great. I'm not a purist, because at the end of the day, I don't think it serves to be a purist.
No, and we see what happens to the purists. They eventually meet their karma, as we saw recently with a famous trainer. Something, it all sort of came to hell, and they were a purist. Yeah,
it doesn't serve, because that way of thinking is not depth, because depth is listening to oneself. Depth is going, you know what, my body, I don't have the spoons for this today. I don't have the spoons to ride today. So when we think of spoons theory, it's like when we wake up in the morning, okay, I got 10 spoons to spend today. That's it. What am I spending them on? What is of most value in my life that I want to spend those spoons on? Okay, maybe I'm not riding today, but can I go for a hand walk? And that would feel really nice and actually add to my cup. So when we increase our depth of knowing ourselves, then from that sprouts this sense of, now I have something to give. And not only that, I know the path that I'm on and what I need in my world to actually build that energy, to build that passion. I mean, it's how I've come back, right? Like literally from the brink, is because I knew at that point I had to say that no to anything that was going to compromise me and my health. I had to. And there was a lot of tricky moments. I had to say no to so many things. Like I had trips planned. I had flights booked. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Right? I decided in that moment that I would never go beyond myself again. I just couldn't. Right? And we do it all the time. Like how many of us, I want to go to this clinic, but I've been feeling really, really tired, really, really tired, but I'm going to do it. I'm just going to make it happen. But I'm so tired and I was sick last week. I got this. And then we dig so deep and we're like, oh, like we put that horse in the trailer. Oh, I got this. And we're sleeping in a new bed and we're, everything is out of routine. And then we wonder why we're frustrated and angry and we're not resourced and we can't learn. And it's like, yeah, of course. Right. We like learning comes when we're resourced, when we have things to put into our brain to build neurons to like, right? To
Metabolic
feel,
capacity.
we need metabolic, literal capacity.
Yeah.
And I see it all the time where people are doing things completely outside of their means. All the time. And being rewarded for it. Being rewarded for it in our society, in our patriarchal society. Wow, look at you just go stretching that extra mile, being gritty.
I think it's a fast road to the middle, if I'm frank with you, because it gets you from A to B, maybe from B to C, and maybe even from C to, I don't know, M. Pretty quick. And it's like, gee, goddamn, this real works. And at a practical level, that looks like training that accelerates a horse through a situation, or training, any kind of training that gets a horse really quickly towards a result. And then it all plateaus at some point because the system's not designed for that long-term thing. And when you track these phenomena over longer and longer and longer arcs, the patterns become more and more expansive and more fractals upon the same initial iteration, which is a very simple pattern of, as you say, do I have the spoons? And then everything goes from there. And watching and being with you at that moment, at that clinic we did together, it really did alter the course of how I treat myself in my work. I don't know if I've ever said that to you like I've said it to you now,
I don't think so.
But it's true. Like, I've had to really carefully look at my schedule and look at my capacities and actually hire help to have someone else help me out. I said to my administrator, Catherine, who has been an absolute lifesaver, and she keeps herself affordable for me. And I said, Catherine, I cannot be trusted to manage my own time, because my solution to a time problem is I'll just work more. That's my solution. I'll just do more hours. And I said, I need you to police my hours. And when we were setting up my schedule, and within 20 minutes of me saying that, within 20 minutes, I'm saying, well, what if I just added another? And she went, no, Lockie. No, that's not a solution anymore. We have to find another solution, or you need to cut back, or something has to change somewhere else. And so far it's working really well. Like, the only reason I'm free for you today is because I've got a whole week in my schedule this week so that I can interview people without having to also deliver for clients, so that I can hold space for my colleagues and check in with my touchstones and feed it back into my own network and back into my own cup. You know, this is important stuff that we've got to keep working through, because the work is far from over. I feel like the horse-first approach to training has been pushed back underground, and kind of where it belongs, frankly. It's like the Underground Railroad. We're shepherding people across the border. And that's where it's always been. That's where the work's always been. But seeing you as a leader be so invigorated and clear about what the next steps are really puts a spring in my step, quite frankly. It really does.
Yay. Thank you. Yeah. I don't know. There's something about relationship to land. Gosh, do I feel blessed to be here and just digging in. Yeah.
It seems to be feeding back into your energy system.
Yep. And that's,
like literally
that's the connect. Literally. Yeah. I feel
roots.
That. Roots. Yeah.
Well, Alexa, any closing thoughts for our conversation today? Anything you want the tens of listeners to know? What we're all talking about today? What's the takeaway you want people to really embody stepping away from listening to us chat today?
I would say that there is so much value in really finding this is the other thing that invigorates me, is like finding my purpose, not purpose. I don't even like that word because I feel like that can be too forward thinking, but just finding the place in me, like you say, that feels alive, that feels excited, that feels something, right? And when we're looking outside of ourselves for an answer, that's not necessarily the place. So can I just sit in? Can I take some time? Can I just be for a bit? And many people, I think, are sort of running towards the next thing. So just be in a place of examining that. Where am I? Am I over my body? Like, am I really home? Am I here? And that's where we want to partake, move into our relationship with horses from. And there's just so much to learn there. It might be little and it might be nuanced, but it is of incredible value. So yeah, that's what I would
Thank
say.
you. Thank you, Alexa. I love it. Well, if people want to find you and support your work, buy something from you that you teach or facilitate, where can they find you?
Yeah, so my horse stuff is all at Outside the Box Equine right now. So outsidetheboxequine.com, which Lockie helped me to sort of birth into the world in some ways by giving me lots of advice and support and
help. I remember that initial conversation.
First call was to Lockie. So I am really grateful for that. And so I've actually built out, because I'm a little bit of a tech geeky person, built out a whole membership platform and course platform over there. And I'm just really loving it. So I've got my Whole Horse Collective over there. And that is my main sort of community space. And there's online courses and lots of cool stuff. And we're going to be offering workshops here at Raven Moon Farm this summer as well. Those will go up sometime soon here, hopefully before Lockie posts this podcast. So head on over, check it out.
Yeah, you'll be up within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So looking forward to it.
That is fast, but but we'll try. So there you go.
Thank you, Alexa. Lots of love for you. Talk soon, okay?
Lots of love. Thanks, Lockie.
All right. Bye.
Bye.